So the concept that I wanted to talk about today is a little bit more of a high-level concept in math, but gets to the heart of something that I care about, that I've been talking about in my videos, which is this like literal meaning translation, understanding the root words and how it's constructed to really understand what we're doing mathematically. Even people who haven't taken a calculus course are usually familiar with the word derivative. Right? We use it in a language, like in literature, for a different meaning. But in math, the derivative is representing something that when we evaluate the derivative of a function, we are looking at how that function is changing. And generally, derivative means that it's sort of like a branch off of a main thing. So the main thing in this case would be the function, and the derivative that we're taking that defines how that function is changing is the derivative that's branching off from the function, right? The function defines what the derivative is. Great. Another word that is related to derivative, right? It's a different sort of, I guess you could say, conjugation of the word derive, right? The word derive is sort of, is etymology from an I can't say the word, etymological standpoint, sort of like the root for the word derivative. It is one of them anyway. And so derive just sort of means comes from. And so when I ask for a derivative, I'm asking for the thing that comes from the function, right? It's an output. It's just one object. But when I'm asking a student to derive something, I'm asking, how do I get from this thing to this thing? Show me the derivation of how you go from here to here. And in my upper division courses, particularly like when I'm teaching numerical analysis, this is the one that it always comes up in. I have to remind the students that the word derive and the word derivative are not the same thing. I think because of the fact that derivative derives from the word derive, students will think like, oh, I just need to derive it, when they're thinking that they need to take the derivative of the function. And I just wanted to talk about that kind of like understanding of language overlapping with the actual math that we do is so important. And I really love it from like a geeky standpoint of, it is so cool how literal the language is for math. And if you understand the root words and how they piece together, how it tells you what you're actually supposed to do. And that is one of the biggest misunderstandings that I encounter a lot in the upper division courses, particularly just because I feel like our like colloquial language has a tendency to be so much more flexible around how we use words. So then when you end up in a very strict context like math, where derive and derivative mean two very different things, but the words are so interrelated that somebody from a colloquial standpoint wouldn't know the difference. It's a fun thing to just kind of think about and talk about. Anyway, I've rambled too much about that. Enjoy. I would like to continue with like a series of breaking down words that we use in math. And I don't know how long it'll take me to go do that, but that's a goal.